So everybody's favorite application in the whole wide world is finally back in the US App Store. TikTok. Now, I might be exaggerating a little bit. I'm sure the people that were trying to sell their phones for thousands of dollars because it had TikTok installed in there probably aren't too happy anymore. See, because even though TikTok was reinstated in the US, meaning you could use it again, it never actually came back in the App Store. So if you deleted your TikTok after it got banned, you weren't able to get it back. I think there was a little workaround where you could just go on Google and type in TikTok.com and then you could use the web version of TikTok, but that one didn't have as many features and it was kind of shitty. But either way, if you bought an iPhone for $5,000 because it had TikTok on it, I would probably invest in getting a time machine and remaking that decision because that is the stupidest thing you could possibly do. Now, besides those eBay sellers, other people also aren't too happy that TikTok is officially back, even though this is probably going to be a temporary thing. See, because right when this happened, I saw this Reddit post of a guy saying that TikTok should have been permanently banned in the US. And what was his reasoning behind it? Well, because he couldn't control the time that he was spending on TikTok. And it's entirely TikTok's fault that he had no self-control. And he wants us to convince him that he's wrong. Now, I don't disagree that TikTok amplified people's attention spans getting worse. But that's not to say that before TikTok existed, that people were some innocent and patient creatures that just loved watching a 5-minute video on how to tie a tie when it should only take you about 30 seconds to show how to tie a Windsor knot. Because what TikTok did was say, hey, we noticed that there's a lot of social media platforms out there that allow you to post videos, but there's no social media platform out there that specializes in short form content like this. And what happened? Well, TikTok became just as popular as every other social media platform out there. And even though I'm primarily a YouTuber, I still appreciate how TikTok gave people this outlet where you don't need to worry about all the technicalities. You just get your phone and record videos in the most raw form possible. That sounds a little bit weird, but you know what I mean. You literally take your phone, talk in front of the camera, post a video, and boom, you can gain an entire audience by doing that. I mean, you have several content creators that owe it to TikTok for giving them a platform and being able to quit their 9-to-5.
I would not be here if it was not for TikTok, not gonna lie.
Thank you guys for changing our lives and allowing us to make you laugh over these last few years.
TikTok has changed my life.
And it's not just about content creation. Plenty of people would use TikTok for things like selling their art or promoting their businesses. I don't know if you ever saw those TikToks of those people that would walk up to strangers and do interviews with them so that they could promote their socks. Yeah, because of how much exposure that TikTok has given them, they were able to promote their brand in Times Square. And if you want to see self-proclaimed men of culture, all you have to do is press on the comment section of any of their videos, and you're going to find a bunch of guys that talk about how happy they are to see a girl wearing leggings in public. Now, I'm sure that's not the type of publicity that the company wants, but regardless, they became bigger because of TikTok. Now, if TikTok never actually came back to the App Store and you wouldn't be able to update the app, it would slowly start dying off in the US. And although a lot of people would be happy because now we don't have any more brain rot. Now I can focus on doing what I want to do in my real life because this stupid app was holding me back this whole time. Except there's still something called YouTube Shorts that would exist, and Instagram Reels, and Twitter clips, and clips on pretty much every social media platform because TikTok realized that people would gravitate towards short form content. So every social media platform implemented some sort of short form video feature in their application. So if you're not a fan of TikTok being a bunch of brain rot, you might as well get rid of every one of your social medias. And personally, when I use things like Twitter or Instagram, they have some of the shittiest algorithms I've ever used. I could press I'm not interested in a certain person or in a certain type of content on one of those apps, and I still get that bullshit all the time. TikTok was actually one of the few apps where if I'm not interested in something, I wouldn't get that stuff again. I would only get the content that I would actually interact with on TikTok, and I appreciated that. And then there is the flip side to the TikTok ban, which is, well, we should have gotten rid of this app because it's just a bunch of Chinese spyware. And that's a very valid opinion. If American companies like Meta were so innocent themselves. Because just in 2023, Meta got slapped with a 1.2 billion euro fine for illegally transferring European users' data to the US.
A record fine for Meta from the Irish Data Commission, $1.3 billion for breaching Europe's general data protection regulations.
And this wasn't just a moment where you go, oopsie, my bad, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your data like that. This was years of Meta blatantly ignoring privacy laws.
For sending the personal information of millions of European Facebook users to the US without properly protecting them from potential US surveillance.
So never mind China stealing Americans' data because, God forbid, China is bad and America is very very good, you have to worry about America stealing your data if you're a European.
We are disappointed to have been singled out when using the same legal mechanism as thousands of other companies looking to provide services in Europe.
This is like getting mad at your neighbor for smoking cigarettes all the time while you're holding a lit cigarette in your hand. Now, even though the Supreme Court originally upheld the ban because it was a national security risk for the US, I want you to just get an idea of who these people are in the US government. Because apparently, even if you're Singaporean, in the eyes of these guys, you're still a Chinese spy.
Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation
I'm
in
asking-
Singapore. No, I did not.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, I'm
Okay.
Singaporean.
I wish the TikTok CEO responded to this guy saying, Senator, are you Russian? Are you sure you never had any ties to Russia? Because you look Russian to me, Senator. I wish he would just flip the line of logic back at this guy because he's so oblivious. That was just embarrassing on a global scale. And I'm glad that other Americans realized that too and they weren't even trying to defend the senator. And at the end of the day, if you don't like TikTok, that's totally fine. You're not forced to re-download it from the US App Store. You could just not download it or use it ever again. But if you enjoy TikTok, well, you might as well use it before we know what happens to it again. That's all I got for now. Take care.